I am blessed to get to see firsthand story after story of the different things, the different pains, the different ailments that CBD has helped people to find relief from. But a couple of weeks ago, I came across a pain that CBD cannot cure. And so today I want to talk to you about that pain and about how you can prevent that pain from becoming a part of your family's life. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the CBD and You podcast. And yes, you means you. And I believe you are here for a reason. I'm Lori, a Christian, a wife, a mama, and a midwife. And to put a little icing on the cake, my husband and I own a hemp farm in Tennessee. Girlfriend, I see it in your eyes and I feel it in the messages you send me. You are tired of waking up every day exhausted with aches and pains that you really thought you were too young for. And with all the stress and anxiety of the day, you're over it. Are you starting to wonder if this is really all life is? I hear you, and you are not alone. God did not design us to just survive. He designed us to thrive. So if you're ready to embrace this beautiful life God has given you by discovering some of His best gifts for His children, rewarm that coffee you forgot about in the microwave, and let's take a minute to pour back into you with a quick chat and some me time. Let's go. So this episode is a little hard to record because it is one that is going to make you and me also really look inward. I had an experience at a market I was set up at a few weeks ago that I want to share with you. This is not your typical CBD and You episode. It's going to be a little bit different, but I think it's very important because I think a lot of moms listen to this and hopefully also a lot of dads. And I saw something happen that can create a pain that CBD and any other pharmaceutical that you can come up with won't ever cure. Prior to this, I was listening to a podcast, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago, by a lady named Monica Irvin. I really like Monica and the work that she does. I came across her at a homeschooling conference that I went to, and she really talks about etiquette. She talks about how to speak to children, how to raise them to be honorable people. And she hadn't had a podcast up in a long, long time, but she had a new one post, and so I listened to it. And one of the things she talked about is exactly what I saw happen here. Nothing that I say in this podcast is intended to make you feel bad. I know for me, a lot of times I was saying things and doing things that maybe I wasn't fully aware of, and I didn't realize what I was doing. And so just because it's something that I've learned from, and I know that I had a lot of room for improvement on, I want to also share it with you in hopes that perhaps it will help you to do better. We're all first-time parents at some point. And even no matter where we are in our journey of parenting, we're probably coming upon some phase of parenting that we haven't done before. And we're just trying to do the best that we can. But a lot of times we get caught up in things and we forget what we are doing and what we should be doing and what we could be doing with our words. So let me tell you the story. I had a couple come up to my table at this setup, and they had their daughter with them. She looked to be maybe preteens, maybe early teenage years. And the father was looking at the different products that I had set out and was asking me questions. And then he reached over and he picked up one of our roll-ons. We sell two different types of roll-ons. One is called Pain Away. And he took it and he looked at it and he laughed, kind of chuckled to himself. And then he said, "If I rub this on her, will she go away?" And I just wanted to disappear. But I didn't want to disappear nearly as badly as that young lady did. Her face fell, and she just didn't want to look up anymore. Her father had just called her a pain that he wanted to get away from or get rid of in front of a complete stranger. It's hard enough for her knowing that he wanted to say those words at all, but especially in front of a complete stranger. We live in a world that is full of broken adults. Some of you listening to this right now might even classify yourself as a broken adult. You deal with pain. You deal with memories, and you just can't quite figure out how to deal with them. The problem is that broken adults don't start as broken adults. Broken adults were once children, and very often the reason they are broken now started years and years and years before. Something or someone did something that led to them having this feeling inside of brokenness. We live in a world that's trying to treat this brokenness with pharmaceuticals, throwing drugs at it, trying to make it go away, to the point that we're basically raising a generation of zombies because we have tried to numb the pain that we feel from these things that have happened to us, rather than either one, having mature adults in our lives that never say or do the things that hurt us to start with, or learning to process what we've gone through so that we can be functional. This sweet girl was struggling. Clearly, she's a teenager or preteen, and that's one of the hardest times of life. You're trying to find your way. You don't really know which way is up. You're trying to figure out right from wrong, who you want to be. She was struggling. Like every kid struggles. Even the best of kids have days where they are really having a hard time, and it's hard for us as their parents to deal with them. We all know that. You know how we know that? Because we were once that kid. We weren't angels. We caused our parents plenty of heartaches and headaches as well. This girl likely wanted more than anything else in the world just to have love and affection from her father. Instead, she was humiliated by her father. I know this is not about CBD, but please understand that your words can cause a hurt that CBD cannot heal in the ones that you love the most, and no other drug can heal it either. Think before you speak. Kids are just trying to find their way, but they are still kids. Yes, they cause problems. Yes, they do things that are wrong. They make lots of mistakes. But that's what childhood is for, is to figure all that out, and we're supposed to be the adults. We can't resort to childish jokes in front of others that humiliate them just to get a little laugh. We are letting them down when we do this. Any jokes are bad enough that are humiliating, but especially in front of strangers. I don't know if the man that I was talking to was a Christian, but this show is targeted at Christians, or to Christians, I should say, so I want to refer to scripture here. In the book of Ephesians, we read in verse 1, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with you, and you may live long on the earth." Now, we often want to stop there. We don't want to keep reading. But the very, very next verse is incredibly important, because the next verse impacts those children that were mentioned in verse 1, their ability to do those things that they're commanded to do. Because in verse 4 it says, "And you, fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord." Now, the training and admonition of the Lord is not humiliating. Think about how our Heavenly Father receives us when we do dumb stuff. Does He pull us aside and make jokes about us? Does He humiliate us in front of people for a quick laugh? Does He make jokes about us when we cause Him pain? Because our sin causes Him pain. Think of the story of the prodigal son. It was a parable that showed God's love, because when that man whose son left and took his entire inheritance and he squandered it all away, then he had to come back to his father and beg him to take him back in, just as a servant, not even as a son. Now, when he came back, did his father just rail on him and just go off on him about how dumb he was to have wasted all his money and what a stupid kid he was and how just awful he was? Did he tell him he was a pain and that he wanted to get rid of him? No. He ran to him and threw his arms around him. That is the love that our Father shows us when we are repentant for the things that we've done wrong. He doesn't drag us through it. He loves us and takes us back in. What about the shepherd who left the 99 sheep to go find the one he had lost? That's how much he loves us. If we do dumb things, he loves us and wants us to stop those dumb things and come back to him. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't punishment, of course. But right now, I'm just talking about the heart of God and how he receives us, how he loves us. Our children's view of what God is comes very often from the way that we show them love. So if the love we are showing our kids is that we just want them to leave us alone, we just want them to quit causing us problems, we just wish they would go away, that's how they're going to view God. And it's going to drive them from him, and it's going to impact their eternity. He loved us so much that while we were still sinners, not after we got perfect and fixed everything, but while we were still sinners, he sent his son to die for us so that we could be with him eternally. Romans chapter 5, verse 8. Don't wait for your children to be perfect to stop criticizing them. Learn to love them now in their imperfection, in this hardest time of their life, when they are struggling and trying to figure out how to be good humans. Love them and teach them and direct them in a way that doesn't cause brokenness, but rather causes them to turn to you and to turn to God for their wisdom, for their guidance, so that they can become adults that are whole. A couple of podcasts about this that I love are the Calm Parenting podcast by Kirk Martin. I also heard him at that same homeschooling conference that I went to. He has a lot of really good information about parenting strong-willed children and how to deal with your own temperament to be more effective as a parent. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the Parent Wise podcast with Monica Irvine. The particular episode that I was talking about earlier was episode number 70. Personally, I have found in the past I've been very, very short with my kids. I would often speak to them sarcastically. If you know me personally, sarcasm is my love language. I pick on people. It's kind of what I do. I have fun with it. But the problem came when I had kids and they don't understand sarcasm. And you can't make little comments to them because they don't have fully developed senses of humor yet. They don't get joking. So when we started growing hemp and we were making CBD to start with, at that time I had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So it was a lot. There's a lot going on, a lot of noise, still is a lot of noise. And I would often expect too much from them. I would make little comments that undermined their confidence, their ability to know that they're good kids and know that they're doing an okay job at life. I would expect too much, and I would say things to them that I know I shouldn't have said. What I found was when I started taking CBD, it actually helped me to bring it all down a notch. It helped me to not be so intense, not to be so just unrealistic in my expectations. And it certainly helped me not to yell as much because I was also a yeller. That military side of me, most of you know that I was in the military and I was an officer, so that's in me. And it helped me to get that in check and remember that these are kids I'm dealing with. These are my kids that I'm dealing with, and they look to me for everything. And they are seeing their example for the adult that they should be in me. So if all I do is fuss at them and holler at them, then they're going to see that when you don't like something that's going on in life, you just fuss and holler about it. Well, that's not effective, and it's not going to work for them. And so I found that CBD helped me, again, to bring it down so that I could be the calm mom, the balanced mom that I needed to be. And I'm still working on it, but I know I've come so far. I really think a lot about how I talk to them when they've done something wrong. I'm careful not to just fuss, but to try to figure out what it is they're going through, figure out what it is that they're feeling, their frustrations, what's going on before I just lay into them. And I certainly think twice before I criticize them in front of others or bring up anything negative about them. I keep the negative things at home to myself and only praise them to others. They look to me for guidance about how to navigate life. And if all I ever do is tell them that they're screw-ups, they're going to eventually internalize that. Prayer, education, and yes, CBD have contributed immensely to my maturing in this area, and I hope you'll join me in that. And I don't say that CBD has caused me to mature. That is not what I'm saying at all. But it has given me the balance that I need to think before I speak, because I know a lot of us have a problem with not thinking before we let those words fly, and those words can't be taken back. You know, we complain a lot about kids these days, and all the things that kids these days are doing. But as parents, we mold kids for better or for worse. Our choices impact them more than we really probably care to admit. How many of us can think back and remember things that a parent said to us in our childhood that they've long since forgotten, but it's still seared in our memory? We remember every detail about it, and if we mention it to them, they probably won't even know what we're talking about because they said it off the cuff, flippantly, not knowing how bad it hurt us. Now, as adults, are we doing the same? Will the cycle stop with us, or will we continue it? This is my call to you to start working on you today. Make sure you're not the parent that says things, especially in earshot of others, that cause your kids to hang their heads in shame. Build them up. Tell them they're good. We live in a world that's going to try to tear them down. Don't be part of that. Build them. Encourage them. Tell them you understand their struggles and their frustrations. I'm not telling you to be a soft parent and to let misbehavior go by any means. I'm saying to treat your children as complete humans and complete people, not as half of a person. Don't think that it's okay to talk down to them simply because they're younger. They can't help their age, and where they are right now is where you used to be. Treat them the way you wanted to be treated when you were their age. Tell them stories of situations that you've been in that were kind of like what they're going through and how you got through them, so that they'll know you're human. You didn't just all of a sudden, become this adult that just knows how to deal with things. You had to struggle too. And help them to see that. Help them to know that you love them and you really are there for their good. And always try to cushion the corrections you give them. Try to cushion that with some encouragement before and some encouragement after, rather than just fussing and railing on them and criticizing them. So that way they are hearing, to start with and to end with, that you love them and you know they're good, but that they're having a little trouble and you want to help them. By all means, do not talk to them negatively or talk about them negatively to others. Build them up. I hope this has helped you. I am by far not a parenting expert, but this was a situation that was brought directly in front of me as a part of my business, and it broke my heart. And I wanted to share it with you in hopes that you will learn some lesson and take something away that will help you in your journey as a mom or a dad. If you're struggling with staying calm and you know that you need to bring it down, you know you need to find that balance and bring it down a little bit, I hope you'll go to bit.ly/CBD and you show. You can go down in the description and get the link. It's a little bit easier. At that link, you're going to get 20% off of your CBD oil order. When you go to that link, it's going to go ahead and take you straight to the cart so that the coupon code gets added. Then you can just click the shop link above and go and pick out everything you want, put it in your cart, and your promo code will already be there. It's going to take 20% off of anything you want. And yes, if this is your struggle, you do need the CBD oil. Topicals are great for some things, but they're not going to be enough here. You need that internal balance. So that is going to be what you need if this is your struggle. If you need help, shoot me an email, send me a SpeakPipe message. All the links for that are all down in the description about how you can reach me. I'm here to help you. I hope this has helped you. I love you all, and I appreciate you all for being here and supporting me. And I'm going to see you right back here next week. Whoa, wait, stop. I need your help. Before you take off, if this podcast has blessed you in any way, or if you learned something, could you take 1 minute and leave me a written review over on Apple Podcasts? That's the absolute best way you can thank me. I love hearing how what I've learned on my journey has helped you on yours. Remember that the Word says every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. CBD is one of them, but there are so many more. Cling to Him and you will never go wrong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you back here in a few days.